You set the bevel on the pipe and you don't run the second purge. The crew is on the spread, waiting. 11 months later, the X-ray shows a holiday on your route pass. One cold weld, and they park you for 90 days. No pay, no per diem, nothing. There are only 3,400 welders in the country who ever get this far. This is every level of life as a welder. If you like breakdowns of how careers actually progress, like and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Level 1. The helper. You're 17, in a high school shop class, grinding a bevel on a piece of scrap pipe. The angle grinder weighs 6 pounds and your hood is cheap. The first time you flash your eyes, you'll lie awake at 2 a.m. with what feels like sand under both eyelids. You still show up at 7. There are 457,000 U.S. welders working today, and the bottom 10% earn under $38,130 a year. The starting wage at the 10th percentile is $17.71 an hour. ZipRecruiter pegs a helper at $17.73. You chip slag, hold leads, drag bottles, tack plates, while a journeyman welds them, and he tells you to stop watching and start grinding. You take a 16-week welding program at a community college. Dallas College in-state runs $5,940 for the full AAS. You sit for an AWS Sense Level 1 assessment, $20 per module, $15 to graduate. Then comes the practical that moves you off helper pay, the AWS Certified Welder test on a flat plate, roughly $500. You pass on the second attempt. The shop foreman moves you onto a stinger of your own. Texas alone employs 52,820 welders, 1 in 8 in the country. Level 2. The shop welder. You're 22, on second shift at a structural fab yard. The median welder in America earns $51,000 a year, and you earn a little under that. The 75th percentile hourly rate is $28.80, and that is the ceiling unless you leave the building. Your shop runs production welds to print. Root, fill, cap, bend, test the coupon, move on. You learn AWS D1.1, the structural code that governs almost every steel building going up in the country. You sit the D1.1 endorsement exam. $445 as a member, $540 as a non-member. You pass it. You stack FluxCore dual shield certs on top. A recruiter from a shipyard slides into your DMs. Newport News offers $35 to $45 an hour for an experienced welder with a $10,000 sign-on. Ingalls in Pascagoula posts $21.50 to $28.50 for entry on a hull that takes 7 years to launch. Beth Ironworks runs $28 an hour. 11,000 shipbuilders work in Pascagoula alone. You take the tour. You see a welder strapped into a swing stage at 3 in the morning, burning a vertical up groove under a hull the size of a building. HII spends $110 million a year on workforce development. The recruiter asks if you can travel. You realize the paycheck plateaus at $25 an hour unless you leave the shop and hit the road. You quit on a Friday. You drive to a turnaround in Texas on Monday. Level 3. The road welder. You're 26, living out of a 24-foot trailer parked behind a pilot truck stop in Port Arthur. The refinery shutdown runs 6 days a week, 12 hours a day, double time after 40 and Sunday premium. The Cincinnati Iron Workers scale this year is $35.37 an hour, going to $39.97 by 2026. NJ Boilermaker Journeyman is $35.03. The GSA per diem is $178 a day untaxed, and the IRS high cost rate is $225. With per diem stacked on top, the math becomes a different number than the wage on the rate sheet. You walk up to take the test. The test I6G pipe fixed at a 45-degree angle, all positions in one weld. The first-time fail rate is 40 to 50%. You watch 3 welders in a row blow it. One fails on the bend, one has porosity in the cap, one has lack of fusion you can see with your naked eye. You pull your hood. You burn the root with an E6010 downhill, 2 passes per quadrant. The bevel goes glass smooth, the cap stacks like quarters. The inspector pulls the bend coupon, looks at it, says nothing, and tags it. You passed. They put you on the spread. You make $39 an hour as a foreman, with a $15 rig rate on top and $110 a day per diem. You've been here 3 months. Your back is fine, your hands are not. You drink 4,000 milligrams of ibuprofen a week. The boomer life is real, and your wife is in another state. The crew chief tells you he can put in a word at local 798 in Tulsa. You buy the application that night. Level 4. The Pipeliner. You're 32. A Lincoln SA200 strapped into the bed of an F350 800 miles from home on the Mountain Valley right-of-way. UA Local 798 Journeyman Scale on the 2025 to 2026 NPLA is $57.85 an hour in the southern tier. The higher tier runs $58.89. The fringe stack on top runs $35.95 an hour. Welder per diem is $165 a day, untaxed. The book itself cost you $2,000 and the test fee was $250. To even sit for the test, you logged 3,000 helper hours and 500 journeyman pipe gang hours. You carried 5 journeyman recommendations in a stamped envelope. There are 3,400 welders in this local. Less than 1% of U.S. welders ever make it onto a 798 mainline crew. The forum number for monthly take-home on a 6x10 with rig rate and per diem is around $32,000. The aggregate annual figure runs on $199,303. Your rig was a $50,000 build, and some pipeliners have $100,000 in their rig before they roll a tire. The spec on this job allows a 2 to 3% project-wide repair rate, roughly 5% for any individual welder before they rest you 90 days. Your cap on tie-in 47 comes back from the X-ray with a sliver of porosity at 4 o'clock. You cut it out, you re-weld it, you wait. The Mountain Valley Pipeline costs $9.6 billion by November 2024, up from a $3.5 billion estimate in 2014. Dakota Access cost $3.78 billion to build. The Trans-Alaska Pipeline cost $8 billion in 1977, and Local 798 made every one of its 65,000 mainline welds, all 800 miles of it. The pipeline outlives every welder who ever touched it. The marker post stays in the ground. The steel never rusts away. Level 5. The Inspector. You're 38, your back is going, and you stop welding to start signing off on welds. You spend $3,500 all in on the AWS Certified Welding Inspector credential. The exam fee runs on $1,070 for members, $1,285 for non-members, plus training, plus the code books. The exam is 3 parts. Fundamentals, 150 multiple choice, 2 hours closed book. Practical, 46 questions on welded replicas with inspection tools. Code book, 50 to 65 questions, 3 hours, open book on the code you picked. Passing is 72% on every part, and the first-time pass rate clusters at 25 to 40%. You fail the practical the first time, and you sit it again 90 days later. You pass. You make $80,000 to $120,000 a year now, and senior CWIs and Level 3 non-destructive examiners clear $150,000. You walk a job site with a 10x magnifier and a fillet gauge, and you write the non-conformance reports on the welders you came up with. They call you a clipboard now, and you take the joke. The same code that controlled your hands for 15 years is now your weapon. Level 6. The Saturation Welder. You're 31, and you went a different way. You spent $27,500 at the Divers Institute of Technology in Seattle for a 7-month commercial diving program. All in, with gear and the medical, the cost weighs $39,233. You did 200 field days as a tender, 100 working dives, 10 bell runs, and 30 days of saturation support before ADC. I would card you for the bell. The chamber is 20 feet long, 7 feet across, with 6 bunks, and you will be inside it for 28 days. The last 5 of those days, you will not be moving. You will be decompressing. The hot water suit dumps 4 to 5 kilograms of sweat per dive. You breathe heliox so your voice comes back to the surface sounding like a cartoon. The Gulf day rate runs $1,000 to $1,500 a day, including depth pay, and depth pay alone is $1 to $4 per foot per day. A single 28-day saturation grosses $30,000 to $60,000, and a 10-year veteran who lands 180 active days at $1,500 a day clears $270,000. There are roughly 336 saturation divers in the country out of 3,300 commercial divers. Of every 20 graduates, around 1 is still doing this work 5 years later. The chamber locks. No rescue is coming for the next 28 days, no matter what your body does. Level 7. The owner. You're 58 and you stopped welding 9 years ago. You bought a 12-truck rig fleet, then a fab shop, then the contract for a midstream operator out of Houston. You sit in a bid room with a project manager and a surety underwriter, and you talk in EBITDA multiples. Henkels & Amp. McCoy was founded by a welder family in 1923. They sold to Mastech in December 2021 for $600 million. Roughly 8.6 times EBITDA on $1.5 billion in revenue with 5,100 employees. Michaels Corporation was started in 1959 in Brownsville, Wisconsin by a welder named Dale Michels, and today it runs 18,000 pieces of heavy equipment across the country. Today it runs $4.5 billion in revenue across 8,000 employees. Still family-owned, no PE, no public listing. Performance Contractors out of Baton Rouge, founded by Art Favre in 1979, did $3 billion in revenue last year. Brand Safeway runs $5 billion across 32,000 employees and 350 locations. You signed for the building 11 years ago, and you haven't picked up a stinger since. The Black Elk platform sat 17 miles southeast of Grand Isle, Louisiana on November 16, 2012. 3 contract welders were on it: Corporal, Malagapo, Tahonera. Both of the gas detectors required at the work site were turned off. A welder's stinger lit a vapor pocket inside an uninsulated wet oil tank. All 3 men died. The Justice Department charged Black Elk Energy, Grand Isle Shipyard, and Wood Group with involuntary manslaughter. 31 workers died building the Trans-Alaska Pipeline between 1974 and 1977. 49 welders died on the job in 2019. Welded Construction LP went into Chapter 11 on October 22, 2018. A $1 billion contractor brought down by a single dispute. Williams refused to release a $23.5 million payment. TC Energy laid off 1,000 union pipeline workers within days of the Keystone XL cancellation in January 2021. 8,000 union jobs had been promised on that line, and none of them got built. The arc you struck on scrap pipe in a high school shop class is the same arc that built the country's gas, oil, water, and sewer grid. The welder is the only trade where the work outlives the man, the company, and the operator. The pipe stays in the ground. Your name does not.